The ocean was silent. No waves. No birds. No sound except the slow creaking of rusted metal. Far from the busy harbor, an abandoned cargo ship floated near the dark shoreline. Fishermen avoided it. Locals feared it. For years, stories surrounded the vessel. Some claimed strange noises came from inside at night. Others believed smugglers disappeared there years ago. Nobody truly knew the ship's history. But one thing was certain. Something inside that vessel was very wrong. One freezing morning, a restoration company finally decided to inspect the ship before selling it for scrap metal. 5 workers arrived at the dock before sunrise. As their small boat approached the giant rusted vessel, the atmosphere changed. The ship looked dead. Broken windows stared into the darkness like empty eyes. Chains moved slowly in the wind. Rust covered every wall. One worker whispered, "Feels like this ship doesn't want us here." The team laughed nervously and climbed aboard. The moment their boots touched the deck, they smelled it. Rotten air. Wet metal. Decay. And somewhere deep inside the ship, something scratched against the walls. The workers switched on their flashlights and entered the main hallway. Every step echoed through the empty ship. The corridors were narrow. Dark water leaked from broken pipes. Old papers and ruined furniture covered the floor. It looked like nobody had entered the vessel for decades. As they explored deeper, they noticed signs of animals everywhere. Chewed wires. Destroyed food containers. Tiny footprints in thick dust. Then they heard it again. Scratching. Fast movement behind the walls. One flashlight suddenly revealed dozens of rats running across the hallway floor. The workers froze. The ship wasn't abandoned. It belonged to the rats now. One crew member suggested leaving immediately. But the team leader refused. "There's money in this ship," he said. "Finish the inspection." So they continued deeper into the lower deck. Without realizing the real danger wasn't the rats they could see. It was something invisible hidden in the air itself, deep beneath the ship. They found a massive locked storage room. The metal door barely opened. When they forced it apart, a terrible smell exploded from inside. The workers covered their noses. Their flashlight beams revealed the horrifying truth. Rat droppings covered the entire floor. Thousands of them. Dust floated thick through the air. Broken crates filled the room. Old cloth bags had been torn apart by rodents. The place had become a breeding ground. One worker warned everyone not to touch anything. But another grabbed a broom. "If we clean part of the floor," he said, "we can inspect the cargo." The moment he started sweeping, clouds of dust rose into the air. Tiny contaminated particles floated directly into their lungs. Invisible. Silent. Deadly. The workers coughed and laughed about the smell, never realizing the virus had already entered the air around them. That single decision changed everything. 3 days later, one of the workers woke up with fever. His entire body hurt. He could barely stand. At first, he ignored it. Maybe exhaustion. Maybe flu. But by nightfall, his condition became worse. Severe headaches. Vomiting. Pain in his chest. The next morning, he started coughing violently. His breathing became shallow. Every breath felt heavy. His family rushed him to the hospital. Doctors suspected pneumonia. But something didn't make sense. The patient was healthy only days earlier. Now his lungs were rapidly failing. Within hours, he needed oxygen support. Meanwhile, another worker from the ship reported similar symptoms. Then another. Fear spread quickly. Doctors realized this wasn't normal illness. Something connected them all. And all roads led back to the abandoned ship. Health investigators arrived at the harbor wearing protective suits. They entered the ship carefully. This time, they noticed what the workers ignored. Rat nests hidden behind walls. Urine stains everywhere. Massive contamination inside the storage room. Air samples were collected immediately. Days later, lab results confirmed the nightmare. Hantavirus. A rare but deadly virus carried by infected rodents. Experts explained how sweeping the droppings launched virus particles into the air. Once inhaled, the virus attacked the lungs directly. The abandoned ship had unknowingly become a biological trap. Every dark hallway, every dusty surface, every breath inside the vessel carried danger. Authorities sealed the ship instantly. No one was allowed near it again. But for some workers, it was already too late. Inside intensive care, machines beeped constantly. Doctors fought desperately to keep the infected workers alive. Their lungs filled with fluid rapidly. Breathing became almost impossible. Some patients required ventilators. Families waited outside hospital rooms in fear. Nobody expected a cleanup job on an abandoned ship could turn into a deadly outbreak. News channels began reporting the terrifying story. The ghost ship virus. Panic spread through nearby towns. People feared the infection could spread further. Health officials tried calming the public, explaining that hantavirus usually spreads through infected rodent waste, not casual human contact. But fear had already taken over. The image of that dark abandoned ship became a nightmare across the country. A floating coffin filled with invisible death weeks later. The ship still floated near the shore. Silent. Empty. Untouched. Storms slowly pushed against its rusted walls while warning signs surrounded the dock. Authorities never reopened the vessel. Some say workers still hear scratching sounds from inside at night. Others believe the ship should have been destroyed immediately. But the real horror was never ghosts. Never monsters. Never the darkness. It was a virus no human could see. A virus hiding silently in dust. Waiting for someone to breathe it in. And even today, health experts warn people never to sweep rodent droppings without protection. Because sometimes, death doesn't chase you. Sometimes, you inhale it.